Divorce is expensive, but the real cost doesn't come from those attorney fees or what you're going to have to rack up before you're getting divorced. It's actually the mistakes that you don't even know that you're making and that you're signing your name to. I have seen far too many people, women especially, make this mistake and sign off on everything, and then they don't even realize what it is that they left on the table until it's too late. Today I'm going to share 3 of the top financial mistakes that I see people make, especially women, when it comes to getting divorced. And we're going to talk about ways that you can avoid them. Because as a divorce attorney, I have seen far too many times when people have made these mistakes, and then once it's done and everything's signed off on and a judge signs that order, it's too late. It's already made into a court order. You have to live by the terms of it. So let's talk about how you can avoid getting yourself into that predicament long before it happens. Okay, so mistake number 1. This is the big one, not knowing the full financial picture. If you don't know what you have, whether it's a bank account, whether it's a business, whether it's credit card debt, whether it's your mortgage, no matter what, if you don't have a full financial picture of what is owed, how much money is coming in, how much money is going out, how is it that you can make a decision and sign a piece of paper saying, I'm agreeing to X, Y, and Z when you don't even know what X, Y, and Z really is? I tell people all the time, you can't protect or you can't waive what you don't know. If you don't know that there are 10 bank accounts, but all of a sudden you sign an agreement that says, I'm waiving all of the bank accounts, you thought there were 2, but you waived 10. So what about those other 8? Where are they? How much is in them? Who owns them? Should you have waived that? Are you entitled to some of that? There are far too many questions that can be asked and answered, hopefully answered, just by knowing that information, by having access to those accounts. It doesn't mean you can't waive them. Of course you can, but you can't make an informed decision unless you actually have the information. And I'll be honest, why does this happen? Far too many times, women trust their spouses to take care of the finances. I trust my husband. He gets paid and he puts it into his separate account, but he pays all the bills. Have you ever actually seen that separate account? Have you seen the statements? Have you seen how much actually goes in? Have you seen how much actually comes out? Again, as a divorce attorney, I have seen this time and time again where people keep their finances separate, or one spouse trusts the partner to be able to run the household, pay the bills, make sure that everything is taken care of on time, keep the roof over their heads, keep the lights on. And the wife, most times the wife, is completely in the dark when it comes to the full financial picture. Doesn't understand, doesn't know, isn't given access to how much money is being made, what bonuses are being paid, how much is going into their retirement account, what kind of credit card debt they have. And a lot of times, if you're in a toxic relationship or a relationship where maybe communication has just broken down, or just a relationship that is just not working, communication most likely has broken down as well. And if you're not communicating, you're not talking about these things. And then if you're not talking about these things, that means that more debt can be racking up, less income can be coming in, less can be contributed to a 401k. Sometimes having those conversations is not only uncomfortable, sometimes it can even seem intimidating. So if you're not able to have the conversations and get all of the information, how are you going to make a decision based on it? As an example, I have seen where one party actually found out that the other person had a totally separate bank account, an investment account that they were earning money on that the other spouse knew nothing about for years. And when we had access to all of the joint accounts, that separate account never showed up, because that's not how it works, right? If you have 10 accounts at one banking institution, if you give me an account statement that has 1, 2, 3 on it, all I can see is 1, 2, 3. And unless there are transactions going back and forth between account 10, 11, and 12, I'm not going to know that account 10, 11, and 12 even exists. And in this particular instance, by the time that the wife found out that there was this 10, 11, and 12 account, it was all wiped out. All of the money was gone and it was spent. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen to you. And I'm not saying that happens all the time. But having all of the information and all of the documentation in advance could have saved us that heartache, not knowing what was in 10, 11, and 12, and not knowing what was taken out and given away and used somewhere else. I cannot stress enough how important it is to have all of the information. and how important it is to share all of the information. When I'm working with clients, I tell them the same thing. We are not going to withhold anything from the other side. Number one, because it's not ethical. We can all get in trouble. And number two, it's going to stall the process and cost you so much more time and money. Have everything out in the open, have everything be transparent, and then we can start to work out, what are we going to negotiate? What are you going to give up? What are you going to ask for? But you can't do it in a vacuum. And if you don't want to be asked to make decisions in a vacuum, you're not going to be asking your partner to do that either. Everything is fully transparent. You bring it all to the table and then you start negotiating. So don't forget, before you file for divorce, before you go see a divorce attorney, before you even see your therapist to talk about divorce, make sure that you have all of your bank statements, your credit card bills, your tax returns, your retirement accounts, your loan documents, whether it's a personal loan or a student loan or any of those things. Have it for the last few years, even if the two of you file separately, even if you have credit cards that are just in your name, no matter what, have everything compiled together, whether it's in paper format, whether it's digital, get it all together. And here's a little bonus tip. If you're in the house and there's a statement laying out on the table, I'm not telling you to open anyone's mail. That is not what I'm doing. What I'm telling you is, in your house, you're entitled to look at documents. If that document does not have your name on it and it only has your spouse's name on it, you're still allowed to look at it. You're not allowed to take it, you're not allowed to move it, you're not allowed to hide it, but you have a cell phone and you're allowed to take a picture of it. Even if right now you don't want to move forward with a divorce, you're just kind of thinking about how it might look if you live separate and apart, what it might look like if you're separated. I cannot underestimate enough having that information. Take a picture of that documentation, save it in your phone. If you don't get divorced, great, you never use it. But if you do, and then you're exchanging documents and you're going over everything and you're providing everything back and forth, and you don't see that one document that you took a picture of last year, 6 months ago, bring it up. Because that's a huge red flag and you want to make sure that you're protecting yourself. You need to know all of the information so you can make an informed decision, including regarding that statement that was on the table. Mistake number 2, when people let their emotions make decisions for them. They get carried away with how bad they feel. Maybe you feel guilty because you cheated. Maybe you feel frustrated because you feel like the other person left you high and dry, so you want more out of them. There are so many emotions that come with divorce, and they're justified. Your emotions are real. Your feelings are real. Your feelings are justified. However, if you start incorporating them and pulling them into the divorce or letting them dictate the direction of the divorce, you are making a huge mistake, a very, very costly mistake. I know how emotional divorce is. I've been doing this for years. I watched my own parents go through a really horrendous and hurtful and drawn out divorce. It is emotional. It is hurtful. However, if you're allowing your decision making to be fueled by guilt or fear or anxiety or anger, all you're doing is costing yourself more wasted time and a tremendous amount of wasted money. And I know how tempting it might be to just try to hurt the other person because of how badly they've hurt you. But in the long run, when you drag things out or when you try to stall and not give that documentation, you really are hurting yourself in the long run. There have been times that I've worked with people who decided, I'm going to give up on certain things. I'm going to give up on the real estate. And when you give up on the real estate in the agreement, then you're not entitled to it later. You're not only not entitled to the real estate, but any appreciation for it. I once worked with a woman who actually gave up her rights to the house. And she said, I don't want the house. I'm okay keeping certain accounts. I'm okay keeping certain cash accounts. And I don't want anything to do with the real estate. He can have the real estate. Well, this was right before the real estate boom, where all the housing prices started going up in value tremendously. Some of them 35, 45, even 50%. Now, if we're talking about $150,000 to $250,000 that was in equity in that house, that means that she walked away from half of that. Now, of course, there's no way to ever predict when there's going to be some type of boom in the market. However, you can start to plan for, okay, there's a certain amount in cash accounts, there's a certain amount in real estate, a certain amount in stock portfolios, maybe some in a 401k or an IRA, and mutual funds. You can start to plan for all of that and put it together instead of saying, you know what, I'm too heartbroken, I cannot be emotionally attached to that house, I give and I walk away. That can be a huge financial mistake by letting your emotions dictate where it is that your finances are going. Because think about that. That money could have been put toward your retirement account, for your kids' college, for your savings, for a rainy day account. But now you're never going to be entitled to that money because all you have is a cash account while your spouse now gets all of the gains from the real estate. So a tip here is just step back and ask yourself, if I were to make this decision in a month from now, in a year from now, when I was able to remove myself from it, if I were in a more calm state, would I make that same decision? Or what if this is my best friend who is making that decision? This is my best friend's decision. Would I guide her to make the same choice that I'm making now? Probably not. You would probably take a step back and say, wait a minute, let's think about that. How much sense does this make for you financially? I beg you, be your own best friend and start to think about that. And big mistake number 3 is not planning for life after divorce. I tell people all the time, divorce is a life event where you have to start planning for the future, especially if you have children and you're going to be entangled that way. But the act of divorce, the actual action of divorce, is just a moment in time. So please do not start making decisions now that are going to affect your future and leave you completely broken, financially, emotionally, or otherwise. But what we're talking about here is fees. You make a decision now, it's going to affect tomorrow, next month, and next year. And if you're not thinking about the big picture financially down the road, that is a huge and costly mistake. And this happens because so many women just want to get through it. I just need to make it through the divorce and then I'll be okay. I'll figure it out. And let's be honest, women, we figure it out, right? But you shouldn't have to be scrambling at the end to try to figure this out while your spouse walks away with more of the assets, more of the investments, more of the income. You are entitled to a life of peace and prosperity after your divorce, not just during this little time period. Afterwards, you need to set yourself up for success with your CDFA, your financial professional, with your attorney, with your divorce coach, with your therapist, your entire support system. Everyone is going to be there to support you. Do not let your need to get over this as quickly as possible and just get through it dictate your financial future. I've had far too many women who have said, okay, I accept this, not thinking about what the future is going to cost, especially when it comes to losing health insurance. A lot of times people do not take this into consideration. Right now, you are covered by your spouse's health insurance. Once the divorce is finalized, their insurance company is no longer going to carry you, and now you have to pay for your own health insurance. Sometimes that can be very, very costly. We didn't include that in the budget. You didn't think about how much that's going to cost. You just wanted to get through it. So again, there are so many layers to getting divorced and so many financial things to think about. And when it comes to those nuanced conversations, you need to make sure that you're taking a step back, considering all of it, pulling in the right professionals, and making a decision that makes sense for your future. So please, if you're going through a divorce or you're thinking about getting divorced, please remember that avoiding these 3 mistakes can literally save you thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. Pull in the right professionals, an attorney who focuses on alternative dispute resolution, who doesn't want to just run to court and waste all of your time and money. A CDFA, a certified divorce financial analyst, who can help you take the entire financial picture, put it together, and start helping you parse out what makes sense for you now, what makes sense for you tomorrow, and what's going to make sense in 5 years from now. And I know that seems like such a daunting thing to think about, but if you are focused only on the moment, only on making it through this divorce, then you're missing out on the big picture, and you could be depriving yourself of a really secure and fantastic future. And this might include for your children as well, for extended family. So do not just think about now, think about tomorrow. Next week, we're going to talk about a post-divorce money plan that's really going to help you get a good footing now and start creating wealth for yourself down the road. And this is even if you're starting at 0, there is no shame here. Divorce is hard. Separating is hard. Dealing with our finances on a good day is hard. So we are here to give you support, give you guidance, and make sure that you're taking those little steps now that are going to help you create your best tomorrow. If you found any value in today's video, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. It helps us get more information out to people like you who are looking for the right information in order to create your best self. And please share this with anyone else who might be struggling on this journey. Thanks again for joining us today on Divorce Den, and we will see you next time.